Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to the show, where we're going to be bringing you the latest in AI news. And before we dive into it, guys, please hit the like, subscribe, do all those amazing things. Say hi in the comments, even just wave, whatever. It's great to have you join us. We really appreciate all the support that you can give us. Will, let's dive straight into the AI news. It is Monday morning. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let me share my screen as always. This is one you found, Ben, but I'll introduce it and talk a little bit about my thoughts. But obviously you found this one, Ben, so... But it's a shared
I don't want to
vision
take the credit,
of ours.
I don't want to take the credit.
No, it is. So, OpenAI data residency advances enterprise AI governance. Now, you'd be forgiven to think that that sounds like a really boring title. And, you know, on the surface... it is. But what it does is it contains specifically for us lots of interesting points. And the summary of the article here really is that OpenAI are looking to make partnerships in the UK and have made successful partnerships in the UK to bring what they call data residency to the country. Because what they've identified is one of the main leading hurdles that are preventing enterprise adoption of AI, particularly in regulated sectors. You think military, healthcare,
Finance,
has always been
law.
data, finance, all those ones, has been data governance, specifically in the idea of data sovereignty. Where is the data stored? Who gets the data? And this forces a lot of these sort of regulated sectors, as well as just big enterprises in general, to actually not use them. And this is very interesting because this is a thing that Ben and you have talked about in depth.
And Will, just quickly, why are enterprises hesitant about using it? What's just for the audience who might not be aware, what's going on?
It's really quite simple for me. And from our conversations we've had with many enterprises, is that you just simply don't know where the information is going off to and stored. You are sending potentially proprietary trade secrets, IP, and you're sending it off to third-party services with, at the moment, no real promise on where it is going, where it's stored, mitigations. And that is obviously a concern for for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. It's quite simply that. Anyway, they have struck a deal with the UK to offer UK data residency, and becomes effective on the 24th of October.
Then. Everything must be fine, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's all right, we can relax.
This is it for me. And so they've struck a deal. It went effective on the 24th of October, and it's had the Ministry of Justice successfully uptake it as a first major client. They signed a deployment deal to give 2,500 civil servants access to GPT Enterprise. And it's just very interesting in many ways, the fact that we've got these discussions happening. The article references other things like the Stargate project for the UK, which is OpenAI's partnership with NVIDIA to bring, it's very carefully worded, local computing to the UK. But it's very interesting. We're now seeing these big frontier labs thinking about it, but in a way that doesn't really satisfy me totally.
Thinking about privacy.
Yeah.
Thinking about privacy,
thinking about who has the data, where it's
security,
going, and understanding the companies are concerned about it. But for me, it doesn't really satisfy my, what I think about it. Hearing that the data sat on UK shores hasn't really solved the privacy or the data sovereignty concern for me. It's just here. Great. Well, lots of information is here. It doesn't really tackle who owns it, what's it being seen, what is it,
who can look at it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's almost, it feels like a massive fudge. It almost feels like, let's have a compliance box tick exercise here. What can we do to satisfy enterprises that they're falling under the GDPR regulations in the UK, and obviously other countries have their own data protection, acronyms for their compliance structures. In the UK, we've got GDPR, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't sit comfortably with me at all.
No. I'm sure there is, a lot of, obviously we're just reading press releases. I'm sure there's a lot of underlying paperwork and legislation to make sure this information is protected, quote unquote. But what I would argue is surely in a near future, it'd just be better to have complete sovereign ownership of it. It's not just stored in the UK by OpenAI or by NVIDIA or whoever happens to have it, but it's stored...
Trust me, bro, that it's going to be okay.
It's stored by your company. It's owned by you. And you never have to worry about it going anywhere because it just stays local to your company, not local to your country, local to your company. That's where I would envision a satisfactory answer to lie.
And Will, the thing is, sorry, carry on. I was interrupted.
No, you carry on. You go for it.
I think it's really challenging, isn't it? Because, we might go, oh, well, what's the big deal? We trust our governments, and, we should have these systems in place for data security and things like that, and laws and all the rest of it. And yes, I get that. I think my at a foundational level, I'm 100% with you, Will. It's like we shouldn't have to trust anybody with our own data and our own security and our own money. But equally, we're also building the foundations and infrastructure here. Clearly, all these big conglomerates are with governments, where you might trust today's government, you might trust next government or whatever. But if you're building the infrastructure, then what's the government going to look like in 100 years' time? Are you going to trust them to just not access your data? You might be comfortable with today's government or the colour of the next government or the political regime in 50 years. But if you're opening up the possibility and you've got a Goldilocks opportunity for a bad actor to tap into, then that's asking for trouble. And I think it's just really naive just to accept this is okay.
Yeah, no, I think this is also an underlying point. Again, we're reading press releases, so there is an awful lot of speculation. But I should also think you should be asking these questions and thinking about it, because alongside this, they're making a big deal about UK data sovereignty, local data to the UK. They reference the government a lot, and this kind of way of talking.
Well, of course they will, because they want to give that reassurance to people, to businesses, to enterprises. Go, hey, listen, we've got a stamp of approval by the UK government, so therefore it must be fine. Of course it is, guys. Trust us.
This kind of language always makes me think as well. That's one thing, but also, why do they want it? Why the UK government in support of having it on UK shores? Because if there's millions and millions and millions of active users all talking their deepest, darkest secrets to ChatGPT, giving across their business information, if they're all doing this and that data is going offshore to be stored in the US, for example, that is a problem for the UK if they want to surveil what you're talking about, because suddenly the data is not here in the UK. So I think you also have to ask these deeper questions about why they want it here. And my answer to that would be, or my speculation is, because it's much easier to access. If it's on UK shores and there's some plan with the government and OpenAI, then there's going to be paperwork there to say we can access that information if we need it. And they can't be stopped, because it's on the shores of the UK. There's no one else to answer to. So for me, it's a lot of things. I think, as you say, it's super hard to look at it because we're looking at press releases. But I think that it feels like this costume of privacy, addressing data concerns. It's dressing it up as solving this, but actually, I think it's a little bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, I completely agree, Will. I think it's bad. I think it's just horrific. It really is just horrific. And it's just, I guess it's the inevitability of what is going to happen, because, you get these massive enterprises, businesses of, huge valuations backed by huge corporations, backed by, the industrial complex and, all the rest of it. And they're going to have, networks and relationships with governments. Governments are going to want access to the data for oversight, for control. Backdoors is such an obvious path that I hope people wake up to it and actually start taking that data more, seriously. And I think rightly so that a lot of businesses have been hesitant to just put everything on these providers. I think luckily a lot of the hesitancy is because they're struggling to figure out what the use cases are for their individual businesses. I think they're starting to recognize that you tap into a particular SaaS product here and an AI SaaS product here as well. It's not ultimately solving the problems for those individual businesses, and they probably need more of a bespoke AI solution, which is like built into their core foundations of their workflows. But so they probably haven't had a chance to think about it, implement it, and move that along. So they haven't got to that thinking, because once they start thinking about that, then they'll start thinking about, what about my data? So
I think as adoption is driven through enterprise of AI, I think that we talking about it, as well as anybody else that cares about privacy, has a really important role to play here to drive what is actually going to be truly be local, privacy first solutions for this technology. I don't think it's on everybody's minds yet, maybe a little bit, as you said, for other reasons. However, I think it will be very, very soon, and we should be really pushing for not these sort of dressed up privacy solutions, but for actual privacy solutions that can benefit everybody, but not mean that our data has to be compromised and we have that sovereignty for real.
100%. And this is the opportunity that we all have as individuals, is actually for the first time ever there is technology that is providing people the opportunity to have pure sovereignty over a few interesting aspects. One is the data that we're talking about, and obviously we've also got over their money with things like Bitcoin. So we're living through an incredible technological revolution that unfortunately most people are unaware of, but the opportunity is there right in front of them, and it's an exciting opportunity where we can, as individual sovereign individual people, take control of these really important things and not just rely on Big Brother, the state, to say, oh, we'll sort this out for you. Don't you worry. You don't have to think about it. So I think it's liberating in many respects for those people who care, and I think more people should care, because more
and more people will care. It's just right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if the danger is, of course, if people sleepwalk into it, we're potentially walking into a dystopian future. Which we've talked about many times before. So interesting, Will. Interesting.
Very
Listen,
interesting.
let's wrap this up. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. Are we speculating too much? What's your thoughts? Is it all okay? Do we just go, yeah, what's the worry? You're over exaggerating or over concerned. It's not a problem. Genuinely, let us know what you think. I want this to be a two-way conversation, and we'll get back to you in the comments at some point when we can. But we really appreciate your support. And for now, we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Take care.